I confirm that a quorum is present. I'd like a motion to open the meeting.
So moved.
And a second. And we'll do a roll call of voting members. We'll start with our stenographer, Chris.
Chris Howe, present.
Chuck Bailey, present.
Josephine Antico, present.
Damon Jesperson, present.
Jerry Devine, present.
John Ferraro, present.
Jane Cunningham, present.
And introducing other people present, we have Maria Casey, who is joining us to see what the Council on Aging is about, having expressed an interest in possibly becoming a member, and our illustrious leader, Cindy.
A lot of excitement.
Council of Aging excitement is an oxymoron.
I don't think so.
No,
I've
it isn't.
seen
Not
the
with
invite.
Not with Cindy.
No, I don't think
at all. Just the opposite with Cindy, yeah.
So,
I'm back, so it's not that it's an oxymoron.
I would entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes from 3/17/25.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Chuck abstained, because
Jane from the board, did you have?
I wasn't here.
Oh,
can't vote.
oh, the minutes. Okay, I'm sorry.
and then we have the chairperson's report. We've been working steadily on getting things ready for the sort of conclusion of the ad hoc committee. I've met with Cindy a bunch to go over the matrix and some of the other pieces, reviewing which properties we will judge, and talking to the town planner, the town administrator, the chairman of the select board, some of the people who worked on the previous projects for town. And we hope to have some of those folks here today at the ad hoc committee meeting. Also, after a talk with Janine, we found that there was a trust that had been set up for the Council on Aging a number of years ago that has recently been dissolved, and the funds have been set aside for the council. So there's $4,888 in an account that we can use. Essentially, it's for anything that we need. So it's a secondary emergency fund.
Is it set up as a revolving fund?
I have to double check.
Good idea, because if not, it goes in the free cash end of the year.
I'm pretty sure it is, because it's been set aside for the Council on Aging specifically, but I don't remember the term. I will make sure to ask Tracy.
Thank you.
And beyond that, I've stopped into a couple of things, but haven't participated in much. Because life's too busy sometimes for me to get down here. And now I wanted to go on to the vehicle policy, which everyone should have gotten a copy of. Again, very exciting things for us today. And legal has gone over this. Tracy and I have both gone over it a couple of times to try and make sure that it will stand in good stead. You know, we've taken certain terms out, put things in, tried to make it a long-standing policy that will work well for the Council on Aging into the future. So wanted to see what you guys thought, if you had any concerns, comments, edits. Overwhelming silences.
I was impressed by the amount of work here. I think it's excellent.
Okay.
If no one has any thoughts, I had one thing that I did want to bring up. So when you look, and I can't remember if it's in this body of the policy, but on the standards of independence, one of the attachments to the policy, which is what folks are signing before they come on the van. Number 10 says there's no charge for transportation.
Mhm.
Tipping the driver is not permitted in Massachusetts law.
Okay.
However, this past Thursday, a rider gave both our driver and the volunteer who's on the van $20 each. She said, for what you've done over the past year. Okay, so they handed that money in to me, and he said, I know we're not supposed to accept tips, but the ethics training that we've all taken is you cannot accept gifts over $50.
Sure.
So, is there a difference between tips and gifts? Do we accept, like, if she did this every week, I would consider it a tip. She's done this once, I consider that a gift. Like, she's saying thank you to them. The volunteer is something completely different, because I know
I
say.
believe the law states $50 a year. Anything under that is fine. Over that has to be reported. That's the way it was when I was on
Right.
board.
No, it always
Yeah.
was, yeah. you can
So,
teach us.
even now with the ethics training, it says the
Yeah.
$50
Yeah.
maximum. But do we, this, number 10 is left over from the previous document when I came here.
Mhm.
Do we change this to say tips/gifts over $50? Do we change this, take this out altogether? I don't want to be in conflict to what the ethics training says. But the driver should not be accepting a tip every time someone takes the van. You know, and normally what he does is he hands any money someone gives, he'll hand it in, and he'll say, I can't accept tips. But this particular one, he said, oh, she give it to us.
Gives tips, covers it all. I don't know.
So
No.
how do we?
Not necessarily so.
Right. Why not?
I do not believe this board has the right to override the town of Newbury's bylaw. We have to make a motion, send it to the selectmen, put it on the floor, have it all voted on. There's gotta be an easier way around. It's just, you must get donations for the town.
We get
of Newbury all
donations.
the time. Consider it that.
But
instead.
he's-
It goes to the,
It goes to
approval
the,
of the selectmen.
and that goes to the town, but he is saying, this woman said these are specifically for us.
Right,
And
right.
he was hesitant to accept it,
Right.
so how do I,
I
Can you
think,
put donations in? What's the bylaw here?
Oh, it's been in for,
What is it?
it's for all town employees, everything over. I paid close attention to it because when I went to the coffee shop over the ridge, the guy says, here, take a free cup of coffee or something. I said, no, I can't do that. At the end of the year, it adds up over $50 and I can't do it. So, I mean, you gotta pay attention to this stuff.
yeah.
Good question for the town administrator, town lawyer.
I think that the policy protects the driver,
Dog policy.
and so it should be, the no-tip policy should stay in place, and we can add to it that donations, gifts can be given as donations to the Council on Aging.
Yep.
Where
Where I was going, right?
Yeah.
I just didn't say it
That
right.
works.
so,
That works.
in here, tipping the driver is not permitted. Massachusetts law forbids
Yeah.
tipping municipal employees, however, you can make a donation to the Council on Aging if you would like. Cash or checks made payable to the Newbury Council on Aging can be given to your driver or any staff member.
Yeah, I think that it protects the driver from any ethics violation, and so I think we just leave it in place as it is.
So, where am I going with the money that he handed me on Thursday? Leave it as a donation.
Yes, I think because the person signed this waiver, we can assume that while she called it a tip, she intended it as a gift.
To the council on aging.
Yeah, the council.
She said it was to them.
Okay.
I know, it's synonymous given the
Yes,
the
I think what we
rationale.
have to do is reach out to this person and say, as far as auto's concerned, the assistant is a
The
different story.
van volunteer
The van volunteer,
can accept that.
I think
He's
so.
not a municipal
Because he's not a
employee. Or she
municipal
can-
No, they're not either. And we have to follow the ethics.
Right,
I mean, we're serving on a board,
right.
Yeah.
so maybe that's better volunteer.
So this is probably a town council question.
Maybe. I think the policy is correct the way it's written.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we can talk about the tip question how to apply that, because that policy is already standing. Afterwards, what I'd like to do is take a vote on the policy. Oh,
I just have a question. When she says it's a gift, it's implied that it's a little bit different than a tip, meant specifically for auto, which he really, under $50, he might have been okay to take that.
mhm.
As long as it's, as you say, it's not all the
It's not
time,
all
and
the
not
time.
weekly, it's not. But
Recurring.
I think it should say tip/gift, so that it's clear that, those two words mean something very different,
You better get it, yeah, the legal.
Well, if
Get them
someone
off.
is saying it's a tip, I think then it clearly challenges the policy. But I think what I'd like to do, so I guess the question right now is, should gifts be included in number 10 of the standards of independence and behavior? Or is tipping the driver what we want to avoid? Because as you said, you tip the driver $2 this time and you give him $5 next week, it's going to end up over 50, which is a violation of ethics. So I think that tipping is important. If we put gifts in there, we're saying that you couldn't, buy them a chocolate bar
Oh, give them a Scott.
or give them a Christmas gift at the end of the year. So I guess I'm comfortable with how it stands, but I understand you wanting to add in the gifts, if I'm stating that clearly.
Okay,
but
if we,
even, go ahead.
all right, if we do change all of this, who is gonna review this before it becomes, standard policy? The town
Yes, for the
administrator, town
town
lawyer?
administrator. So I've already sent all of this to the town council,
Right,
then it comes here, and then I bring it to the town administrator.
okay, why don't we kick it upstairs and just say, hey, should we include this? We'll vote on it next month.
What were you going to
I was
say?
gonna say, you mentioned, gift of a chocolate bar or whatnot. If they give you a chocolate basket that's worth over $50, in essence, they really can't accept that either.
Well, that's
So-
one of the things where it's,
You
Yeah,
know,
if
gets
it's more
very-
than 50,
Yes.
it has to go to the department. And then it has to
Yeah.
be shared out.
May I add something to that?
And then brought here so we can enjoy it.
I think the
Go ahead,
language needs to simply become more thoroughly adapted for paragraph 10, simply saying that there is no gifting or tipping directly to the driver or to any attendant with the driver. That it should, and just literally say any transfer of gratuity should be considered a contribution to
So if
COA.
Left on the seat and he's sweeping the bus out. Right.
Well, and now, he would turn it in. He would absolutely turn that in, but this person said, this is for you for all you've done over the past year.
Oh.
But you're
Yeah,
talking about,
and he
you're
cited
talking
the
about not
ethics.
language, but
Yeah.
probing. Chuck's discussion is humorously about probing. Don't expect anybody who's volunteering to be anything other than quietly honest. So the issue is to just take the language up saying that any gratuity given for regardless of purpose of thank you just simply is a gift to Council on Aging directly. The 50 is not germane here because there's no allowed gift to the driver. This is I spent 50 years with Park Avenue Securities, and any gift over 50 was a violation of the.
At major businesses, you can't accept anything.
Yeah.
But as a former teacher, I could accept up to $50, but when I would taught one day a week at a little Montessori school, and they gave me a Christmas private of $200, I could take it.
I have a question.
Okay.
This may sound kind of weird. Well, Otto was an accomplice. And sometimes he drives people in his own car to the events. So you're only talking about in the van. But he actually will drive people to an event.
That's when he's a participant. So like if he goes to a veterans
As I
event,
said,
say,
that's not-
there's this
Yeah,
guest that's totally different.
Yeah,
That's not, that's him coming as a
Right.
participant, that doesn't count.
right.
But when he's
Switching
driving the
hats.
vehicle, yeah, when he's driving the vehicle for the town
Yeah.
is where this lies.
Okay. All right, so I would entertain a motion to adopt the policy with the more stringent language added to line item 10 to clarify gift giving.
I also
Would agree.
I also think that we should clear local destinations. I still think that that's ambiguous. That was the comment that I made
Yeah,
by
I like
email.
that.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, there should be like a mileage thing, like within
Yeah.
30 miles or within 25 miles. Whose definition of local?
right, because
Yeah.
we go to, I don't want to say we're not going to go out of state because every Thursday we go to Seabrook, New Hampshire. You know?
it's easy for us.
So I have to be careful, but we're not gonna go to, 2 hours away in Maine or, another couple hours south to Rhode Island or something like that. So do we wanna do a radius?
Radius or
How
time?
far is it to the service center? It takes people.
And by the way, I just Googled it, and I
That's
haven't
where you get the cab.
looked up everything, but it says in Massachusetts, COA van drivers who are considered service employees can accept tips under the state's TIPS Act. So I think you need research, and
I think
So
I think
we
we
should
accept it as is. I mean, this is not like
Good
never
point.
to be changed. We can amend it anytime
Okay.
we need to, so.
So do
accept
I leave it as is, accept
Leave it
it,
as
I
is.
go back to town council about number 10?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Does it have a dollar amount?
so again, I haven't read the whole thing and I don't have
Okay.
my glasses, but I'll send this.
Again, it's very difficult to interpret a gift that you don't know what the dog.
So that was a struggle for me because this was left over from the previous director and the Massachusetts law against tipping versus that ethics training about gifts. It's kind of counteractive, so
Receiving anything.
if you want to just accept
So,
and then we
Motion
can,
to approve as amended.
Well, we don't know. what
we don't know the
the
amendment is yet, so we accept it as is. I go back to town council about item number 10 and have them, or do you want to just wait on accepting it until
I
next month?
think everyone seems fairly comfortable with everything except number 10 and
The local.
the definition of the local. So I think what makes sense is to accept this policy so that it
So that we
can
have
go
one.
into effect.
Yeah. That's
And we
okay.
can amend it as needed. And that'll be a much briefer discussion because we only have to look at number 10 and what we consider local, And, I'm not particularly fussed about that because I think that's a judgment question. If someone has a medical appointment, not that we usually use the van for medical appointments.
We do.
We do.
But,
Yeah.
is Boston local?
No,
If
we don't go
it's,
to Boston.
And that's the
So-
thing, like,
Right.
if it's
Because
medical
that's
appointments and
local,
I
right?
need to go to Northampton, I don't know,
Right.
because it's a VA.
Right.
Not that I would not go to Boston, but,
So-
I don't know,
Right.
what's local?
I think, like I said, we'll adopt the
So I
policy as
did
is.
local for shopping trips was what I meant. For local shopping trips, because we go to Newburyport, sometimes Rowley, and then we go to Seabrook.
So you
So-
want a different motion? Or-
So, yes, let's re-motion to accept the document as written with the understanding that we're gonna come back to some things and
I
fine
like
tune.
that.
Motion to accept.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
I,
Aye.
Well, that was easy.
All right. Dog policy, you want to talk about this one?
Okay, so we have folks that come in here, they come to visit, they bring their dog, no problem. I have one gentleman who has a service animal, brings that dog to pretty much every event.
He needs that dog.
Yep, and service animals by law are allowed to come into the
Yes.
facility. We allow other people to bring their dogs in, but my concern is we've had a couple of people come to us about dogs when there is food being served. Not the service dog. People don't even know that that dog is here because he has specific training, he knows what to do, and he doesn't like sit at the table or anything like that. But people have expressed concern about other dogs that have been present when we've had food being served. We also just wanted to review about making sure, the policy that came back to me from town council was way more stringent than this, like specific breeds, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to restrict any kind of breeds. What I do want is that people, when they bring their dog in, it's leashed, that I'm not checking licenses. I know it says they have to be licensed and have current vaccinations. I'm not checking that. I'm not like carting dogs when they come in here. But if the dog is disruptive and whatnot, I just wanted to have something in writing that I can go back to so that everyone understands that we're all on the same page, that dogs have to be well behaved. And I did put in here, I met with Janine and Kathy to talk about this. They feel pretty strongly about not having animals outside of service dogs or service animals at events that have food, traveling chef, game night, holiday luncheons, things like that. People shouldn't be coming with their pet. I know that people have emotional support animals, that's not covered under the ADA Act for service animals.
There's an enormous liability to have untrained dogs in any
Situation,
large,
food,
in a confined location.
yeah.
And so-
Even without food, but I'm happy to have people bring their dogs in, you know, but when we're trying to serve food and
Yeah.
there's animals, it can,
Not Europeans.
Well, there are a lot of people who are allergic to dogs and
Sure.
whatnot. And so it makes it difficult for those who have that, to be able to come if they know that animals are going to be present,
Right.
you know?
Gotta be something in the Board of Health rules.
Yeah, but
Well, there is.
unfortunately, if you're
But
on
it's-
an airplane and allergic to a dog and someone's got an emotional support dog.
You just have to
But-
change your seats. You've got to
No,
get
it's
further
the
away.
air is
I know,
rotating.
but you still got to go through.
Even if you change
But
your
it's
seat.
being filtered as it's being rotated.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, I had a nephew who came home unbelievably, when he came from California, unbelievably sick. It
It's,
does, you still get it.
Well-
my other point is though, if you're allowing dogs and you're not checking, and something happens,
Yeah, that's important.
why, you know, I mean, if I come in and, I don't know, Joan's dog bites me,
yep,
Yeah, you're liable.
you know, we then held liable because we weren't checking to see if that dog was,
vaccinated or whatever.
So in other words,
ribbon on it.
so in other words, we're gonna err on the side of caution, which makes sense.
I'm just,
Makes
So
sense.
then, do you want, anyone who does want to bring an animal in here, they need to provide documentation?
I would think, yes, I mean, you know,
Well, the
minimally,
other-
yes.
The other option is that, again, the policy says that any dog who's, you know, you have someone sign a policy like before they get on the bus. If you're bringing your dog, you must swear to X, Y, and Z. So it's not us having to check it.
Okay, so then do I give them this and have something like the attachment?
Yes.
Why go to public?
Public, come on in. We just didn't want to disturb everybody else but have seats. Do you want me to do an attachment where people are saying, my dog is licensed, my dog is vaccinated, and they sign that? So
Yes.
we do that.
That's, rather than you guys having to
And that's
check
on
it,
them.
then it's,
Right.
exactly, it's on
Yeah,
that
they're
thing.
signing that they, okay.
And I think that makes it, it protects the Council on Aging, and it, you know,
I don't want to stop allowing dogs coming in here, because I do think people enjoy it,
Dogs
Oh,
are a huge
you
issue.
know?
Well, but, yeah, like they visit hospitals and nursing homes and
But-
things, yeah, but it's.
And mostly the people that come in here, I have one gentleman who comes in here on a Monday afternoon, he brings the paper, comes in and kind of checks in with us, he brings the dog on a leash, and there's usually nobody here when he comes in at that time of day, end of the day, you know? So it's not like there's all these dogs here, you know, but, I just, you know, what brought this to our attention was we had a couple of complaints from one event, it was actually 2 times, that people felt uncomfortable having a dog while they were
Trying to
eating.
address
Well, I
it.
see the food as being a big issue, that's, yeah, but otherwise,
We have a big policy on dogs in my complex. huge.
Yeah.
And every time I see someone walking a dog, and sometimes the dog is in the wrong place, and, you know, they defecate, and people sometimes don't pick it up. It's a big problem. It's a real serious, I'm not a dog person.
No, what I'm saying is people
That's-
do
But
that.
that's not an issue here, I
As
don't
I say,
have that issue
That's
here.
not gonna be the.
And I don't have a behavioral issue, here. None of the dogs have ever,
Cost a problem.
no, or barked or caused any kind of issue, but I feel like before it gets to that point, we should have something,
In place.
Put in that at the discretion of the director.
I believe that's at the bottom.
It is there, sorry, I skipped over, it. I didn't thoroughly.
Oh,
Yeah.
Where there's
The
a
last
permit to
sentence.
return
Okay.
to the COA.
Yeah,
So,
So I will do an attachment, so do you want to hold off on this one?
yes,
until
what I
next
would
time?
entertain is a motion to table this to our next meeting.
So moved.
second.
Dog, huge issue.
Oh, even,
Oh, I'm running into trouble.
I'm glad we're not in Europe.
huge issue.
The Germans bring them right into the restaurant.
Well, people love their
Oh,
dogs,
God.
other people don't love their dogs.
All right, so the next item on the agenda is the discussion of the Elder Emergency Fund.
So we have an elder emergency fund policy here that was passed by the previous board. I have a small fund that is donation-based for, it's supposed to be a one-time use issue. It's not supposed to be something that is needed ongoing, so I can't pay your electric bill every month, kind of a thing, right? The director is allowed to approve up to $300 use. If anything over that, up to $500 has to go through you folks. So I've been meaning to go over this with you, things that I have approved recently. So I had someone who needed a shower transfer bench, so I went out and purchased that at the pharmacy. We had someone who is in the housing units who they are unable to reach the housing units aren't built for people who have certain issues, right? So having cabinets that are way up high that you can't reach to put your canned goods and whatnot. So I bought a shelving unit for this particular person because their canned goods and whatnot were all over their countertops. Police had gone in for a well check for something, made a comment to me that this was a concern, so I bought them a little shelving unit, like $40. But it was something that I could help this particular person resolve this issue that they can't reach their cabinets. And then I had someone, Janine and I had gone and done a home visit. This particular person was in a hoarding situation. He had expired food in his refrigerator. We were working to get him the services that he needed. As a way to tide him over, we went and purchased like $40 worth of prepared foods for him to have something to eat for the next couple of days. As it turned out, he ended up in the hospital and was placed. But I needed to have, so he had no food. So I decided to use the funds we had to give him something. So,
I think that answers the whole reason for this council existing.
Are there any questions about the Elder Emergency Fund or any further comments? Because we have guests coming to the next part of the meeting, I want to speed along. So, we'd had some questions about communication and the style and frequency of our outreach. I'd like to table that to our next meeting. So if I could entertain a motion to table that discussion next time.
Motion to table.
Is there a second? Thank you. All those in favor? And then, can you do your director's report
I'll be quick.
quick?
So this Wednesday, we have our volunteer luncheon. We have about 30 volunteers coming. If you haven't already RSVP'd, if you can see Kathy. We have a hearing clinic this afternoon. We're doing a financial fraud scam program at the police department next Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. The representative from the FBI will be there to talk about scams. That continues to be a problem. Animal World Experience. Yeah, Animal World Experience is a live animal show that we have. They're coming during school vacation week next week. People are invited to bring their grandchildren. Mother's Day tea is coming up on May 7th. We have a cooking demonstration with Bill on May 8th. Our last cooking demonstration went really well, so we're doing it again. He's doing something new though. Regular things like game nights are coming up, traveling chef. We have a veterans breakfast on the 21st of May. That will be here at 10:30. And then we are off on Monday, the 21st, and Monday, May 26th for Memorial Day. The 21st is Patriots Day this Monday. And our Shine Counselor is available year-round. People call us, we connect them with the Shine Counselor. That's been going really well, and we're always in need of meat volunteers to drive our meat program.
Very speedy, thank you. Is there any new business that anyone would like to have on the agenda for next time? All right. I'm unavailable the first 2 Mondays in May, so I propose our next COA be May 19th. Is there any reason that will not work for everyone?
Is that a Monday?
Yeah.
I may not be able to make it, but I'll be in Georgia.
You'll be in Georgia.
It might be hard to commute.
Probably.
Okay, for me.
Works for you?
Yeah, also.
All right. So I'd entertain a motion to have the meeting May 19th. I'm sorry, we will
No,
miss it.
that's okay.
May what?
19th
19.
19th.
at 9 o'clock.
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
And I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. All right.